I decided to change lanes for no reason. And I thought to myself, if they change lanes with me, then I know that I am officially being followed. And lo and behold, every time I changed lanes, so did they. The other night, I had the scariest night of my entire life, to the extent that I was afraid to go home. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but I feel like I kind of need to talk about it. Let me show you. Well, hey y'all. I am leaving the JL Ranch in daylight today, and I have a little bit of a story time to tell you because, well, I've been holding it in and I've been scared to tell the story, but also feel like I need to tell the story as somewhat of a warning, if you will. Let me get on the road here and we're going to talk about it because it all begins right here a few nights ago. So I am leaving the JL Ranch North, which is located directly next to a rest area. And Lester and I make this drive. He makes it at least once a day. I probably make it 5 times a week to come over here. And most of the time, my drives are during daylight hours. I prefer it that way. I don't know if it's because I've gotten old or what, but this is Highway 59. It is a very heavily trafficked road, both directions, and believe it or not, it is a highway, not an interstate the full way. So this road has stoplights on it, it has school zones, it has different speed zones, all the things, and we're actually going to come up on a little town up here, and there was a truck accident the other night that happened probably right where that semi is passing up here, right up there. And I was exactly back to where I just started to talk, slowed down, and other people were stopping. And I decided that since there were 12 other people stopping and the man jumped out of the truck immediately, that I did not need to insert myself at this time because it was after dark and I needed to get home to my animals. So here we are, about 1.5 miles from the JL Ranch, and I'm pretty observant about my surroundings when I drive. Not just about where I'm at, but who's driving next to me, what's driving next to me. And for whatever reason on this particular night, I was exceptionally heightenedly, is that a word? Aware. And it was because of one thing. The vehicle behind me had headlights that resembled an older pickup truck, like a S10 or a Ford Ranger. They were square. They were fogged over. You know what I'm talking about? Like older vehicles get that fog over top of them, so they're a little bit more dimmer and they have more of a yellow glow versus the LED new ones. And the reason that kind of struck me as interesting is because, well, there aren't too many of those on the road anymore, and it reminded me of little Chris's truck. So I'm driving home, and hold on, I gotta pay attention here. About 2.5 miles from JL North, the road becomes an interstate again, which is where I'm at now. Looks remarkably the same, believe it or not. And I still notice that this truck is behind me, but again, a lot of people head down this way. Keep in mind that this vehicle does not ever go around me, no matter my speed, and I'm not paying attention to a heightened caliber at this time because where we're headed is towards the city of Livingston, where it is it's a pass-through town, but a lot of people would potentially exit there typically. So I keep going, and I'm aware that the vehicle's behind me, but there's other people passing, and we're all just driving. It's a very normal time. So I get up here to my exit. So I take my exit. It's about 7 miles between JL North and this exit. There are actually 3 exits for the city of Livingston, and this is the one north side of town that doesn't have too much traffic, but at the same time, it isn't uncommon for people to exit. In fact, that person just exited with me as well. So I wasn't even weirded out at this point in time. I just kept driving along. There are turns that matter coming up though that are a little bit peculiar for people to go the same way. Now, as I say that, this person's probably going to do the same thing. So again, nothing is really weird at this point. Okay, they're not. But what I'm saying is nothing is really weird at this point because this is how you get to town. So after multiple pathways through town, and I find myself on this road, which leads us back out to the country. It's a 4-lane highway, and I'm still noticing that this vehicle's behind me. And I think to myself, if it was little Chris, he would have texted or called, or I would have noticed, right? And on this 4-lane highway, I decided to play a little bit of a trick. I decided to change lanes for no reason. And I thought to myself, if they change lanes with me, then I know that I am officially being followed. And lo and behold, every time I changed lanes, so did they. For no reason, not to pass anything. So my awareness became like 9 out of 10 at this point in time. And I have several miles to go to be able to get to the next road to turn. So I just kept thinking, like, surely they're not going to follow me all the way out to JL South. Like, that's a very unique location that someone would follow from where we were to where I'm going. And it kept happening. Every turn that I made, so did they. So when I get to my final turnoff to go towards our road, I did something a little bit sneaky. As I approached the road where I normally turn, I did not slow down to the point that I normally would, and I did not turn my blinker on very early because I wanted to see if the people behind me were going to do the same thing and if they would be the ones to signal first. It turns out I couldn't wait any longer, and I turned. Lo and behold, I finally have to turn my blinker on, and I have to turn, and all of a sudden, so did they. They were probably 2 car lengths behind me, so I could still see the lights. I couldn't see if there was more than one person because at nighttime, there are no street lights out here. It is as black as night, and there's nothing. I'm slowing down in places, trying to get them to pass me, and they absolutely will not. They paced me the entire way. So as I turn down the highway, I have to then turn down our street. Our street leads to a neighborhood eventually, but initially there's only 5 or 6 homes right there. So it's so limited as to who would be back there. And there's such little traffic that it's just so weird that somebody would be coming exactly where I was coming from and going to exactly where I was going out of all the places and all the times. So as I turn down our street, and lo and behold, they do too, panic sits in. Sincere heart racing, because not only am I in a situation, but I'm not armed, and I am 30 minutes from a police officer. So any emergency help is not coming to save me instantly, and I am officially being followed. So I messaged Lester and said, I'm being followed. I'm going to keep driving past our driveway because the last thing that I need is to pull into the gate that takes forever to open and to literally be locked as they pull up behind me and basically like tee me in. I can't stop because there's no one here to save me, and my best solution is to keep going. Now, I know the neighborhood behind us it makes a loop to go in and out. And at that moment, I also picked up my phone and started recording. I'm driving home from the JL Ranch, and I'm turning on this recording just in case. Someone followed me all the way from the JL North to JL South. And I decided not to pull in my driveway because I'm alone and I'm not armed, and this person made every single turn that I did, and I don't want to get caught at my gate positioned to where they could pull up behind me and something could happen. So I'm driving back to the neighborhood behind me and documenting this for safety purposes. Now they have slacked off, and I don't know if they can see that I'm recording. I doubt it. It has square / rectangle headlights that definitely are clouded over and yellow. It's an older model of a vehicle. I'm just very weirded out right now. I'm gonna keep this recording as I drive back here. Obviously, there's nowhere that I'll stop and pull in. I don't know anyone back in this neighborhood, but to follow me every single step of the way is a lot of very unique turns. Lester's calling me. So at this point, my mind is racing with, why me? Did they know who I am? Did they target me and wait outside of the JL? Is it because of my car? Did they decide at some point in time as they were following me, like, hey, she's alone, let's follow her? I don't know. But what I do know is that there was no way on earth that I was putting myself in a situation to be stopped and allow them to happen. And I needed to be near anyone else, anyone that I could possibly find that would be in either recording distance or emergency response distance or other humans. And that was to go back to this neighborhood. And as I'm recording for about a minute and a half, the recording I had to stop because Lester called me, and I'm talking to him, and as I'm talking to him, the car turns off down a random, I believe is the street, could have been a driveway. I made the full loop at that point in time because there was no way that I was gonna pull in somewhere and see that they ran out of their car to meet me over there. Anything like that is just running through my head. Don't stop. Do not stop your vehicle. I made the loop, and as I got to the end of that loop, I'm looking around and I see no one. And this loop isn't big. It's probably a half of a mile in total. And I'm nervous and I'm freaking out because I've never seen a vehicle like that back here in this neighborhood. Sorry, I'm trying to get into our driveway now. See, if I would have sat here for this long, there's no doubt in my mind that they could have pulled up, because our gate takes forever. Open sesame. See, I would have died for sure. Hold on. See? If I would have pulled in here and that would have happened that night, they could have pulled up behind me, dragged me out of my car, stolen the car, killed me, and then went up to the house to do God knows how what. God knows what. Gosh, I can't even speak. After I made my first loop, I still was afraid to come back here. So I made a second loop because now my curiosity was piqued of, was it just someone that lived there? And there was no one. There were no fresh vehicles pulled in anywhere. There was no one getting out of the vehicle. Like, I don't know what happened to them. And to this day, I'm still completely freaked out by what could have happened to them and why me. So my reason for this video is I want you to be aware of your surroundings. I want you to pay attention to things like that, and I want you to watch out for other people that might be experiencing something like that too. If you see something, say something. And try really hard to never put yourself in a position or situation that you could avoid. I'm still shook. I still don't want to drive at night. I don't want to go anywhere by myself at night. And maybe they really weren't following me, but it sure felt like it, and it sure has me freaked out. Pay attention, y'all. It could save your life.